Hi y'all, I'm here today to talk to you about carrots and to give you an update on my okra. Carrots are a root crop and they come in many shapes, sizes, and colors. The carrots we see today, the majority of the time, are orange. We go into a grocery store or we go to a farmer's market, and that's about all you really see. But you can purchase seeds to grow other colors of carrots. There are red, yellow, white, purple, and black carrots. This year, for my garden, I decided that I wanted to plant some purple carrots. So I purchased these seeds here from Baker Seed and thought, well, I don't know how they'll do in my soil because I do have really tight soil, but I'll keep them watered well and hopefully they'll do okay. Well, they did okay. They really did grow down deep, but thankfully there weren't too many problems. With them. Some of them actually were kind of skinny and super long, and some of them were a little bit wider at the top and didn't grow quite so deep down. Wasn't sure about how the flavor was going to be because eating them raw, I would try one, it might taste a little bitter, I might try another, and it might taste really sweet. So I peeled them and I sliced them and I got the purple color all over my hands, all over my cutting board, and it took about a week for that purple color to wear off my hands. It's kind of like getting blueberry juice on yourself, you know. But when we canned them up, they turned out really pretty, really, really dark purple, and it's hard to even tell there's carrots in there, but I put some on a little plate so that you could see them. Also, I grew some short and sweet carrots, and I love these. These are wonderful. They're exactly that is the perfect description because they grow to about 4 inches long and they get pretty chunky. And I was worried about the top part being tough, but it was not tough at all. They sliced up really nice, and we got those canned. Um, and then this fall, I have this package of seeds that is like a mixture of different colors of carrots, but as you can tell, they're all long carrots. So I'm going to plant them in some kind of container. There's just really not many seeds in there, so I'm sure I've got something around here that they'll grow in just fine. Um, Carrot seeds have been found dating back as far as 2000 to 3000 BC. They were first domesticated in Central Asia, and those carrots were purple and yellow. There's wild carrot ancestors that originally came from Persia, which is now Iran, and they were white. Carrots were bred over the centuries to reduce the bitterness, increase the sweetness, and to minimize that woody core that's inside the carrot. And if every once in a while you'll come across a carrot when you're eating raw carrots that might be kind of woody on the inside or kind of tough, and that's what they were doing, trying to minimize that as much as possible. But the problem is that it doesn't always work because it depends on the growing conditions for the carrots. It's a possibility that not enough water could cause that, growing in the heat could cause that, not enough nutrients or the right nutrients in the soil that could cause that. There's probably several reasons for it. Carrots are close relatives to parsley, cilantro, coriander, cumin, dill, fennel, and anise. Originally, the carrot itself, that orange part, was not what was eaten. It was the leaves and the seeds. That's what were used for aromatics, and it's very possible that they were used for medicinal purposes. But eventually people realized, oh my goodness, we can eat this root. We can cook it, we can eat it raw, and before you know it, carrots were spreading all over the world, and people have eaten them ever since. Um, I usually plant carrots when I plant beets, usually about the 1st to 15th of March for my spring garden, or I plant them in my fall garden from about August 15th to September 1st. Um, Usually takes 90 to 120 days to till carrots are ready to harvest. It just depends on the variety you're growing, um, maybe what the weather's like where you are. It might depend on a few different things. Uh, when you plant your carrots, it's suggested that you plant them in rows 12 inches apart. Um, and as they come up, you thin them out to 3 inches apart. I kind of like to plant my carrots in wide beds, about a foot wide, and just kind of scatter the seeds out, cover the seeds lightly with some soil, and keep it damp while the carrots are coming up. And then after they come up, then continue to keep the soil wet. Um, Carrots do best in uh, deep, loose soil that drains really well. And of course, I don't have that. But the good thing is, carrots, like the short and sweet, are meant for my kind of soil. So I could not have asked for better carrots this year. But if you're growing the long carrots, you might want to make sure that you have an area where you have nice loose soil to grow those. Um, while the green part of the carrot is growing on top, then the roots developing underground. And I remember saying to my husband this spring, I wonder if you could eat the greens. And he said, well, I don't know. So we went in and we looked it up, and sure enough, you can use the greens to make a pesto sauce in place of basil, sweet basil. And so I didn't do that this summer, but I might do that this fall if I have the time to do it. If you want really sweet carrots, your soil needs to have a sufficient amount of lime, humus, and potash. So if you don't know what's in your soil, you might want to get some soil testing kits. Or you might just want to plant a little patch of carrots or some carrots in a pot and see how they do with the soil from your garden, of course. Poor flavor of carrots can be caused by too much nitrogen in the soil, because carrots don't really care for super rich soil. And it can also be caused by long periods of hot weather, or maybe not even enough water, enough rain or enough watering. Companion planting is very important. Before you go out and just start throwing seeds down in your garden, plan things out where you're going to place everything so that you get the best harvest you can off of everything you plant. And some of the things that carrots grow well next to are tomatoes, leaf lettuce, chives, onions, garlic and leek, radishes, rosemary, and sage. Radishes, rosemary, and sage definitely have a strong odor about them, and tend to repel a lot of pests. Rosemary in particular repels the carrot fly, which will lay eggs on the carrot plant, and when the eggs hatch, the maggots will go down to the root and start eating the root. And so then your carrot crop is destroyed. Some things not to plant your carrots next to are dill, parsnips, and potatoes. And you may think, well, gosh, a parsnip looks like a big white carrot. Why not? Well, they're all root crops, and they all need phosphorus. And so if you plant them close together, they're all competing for the phosphorus that's available in the soil. And so it's very important that you plant them away from each other. And when I say dill, you might think, dill, a root crop? Well, dill, if you've ever tried to pull up a dill plant, you will notice how deep that root goes down. And it's really hard to transplant dill plants. because of that deep root. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It just depends on if you get to them when they're small enough or not. So yes, even though we don't think of dill as being a root crop, it does have a really deep root, and it is competing with other plants to get the phosphorus that that plant needs to grow. We all know that we've probably all been told that carrots are good for your eyes, so they're high in vitamin A, which is true, but they're also high in alpha and beta carotenes. They're high in vitamin K and vitamin B6. I've also been told for years that carrots are better for you cooked than raw. Well, what that has to do with is the fact that when carrots are cooked, the beta carotene in the carrot is made readily available for your body to use. You still get some beta carotene from the carrot when you eat them raw, just not quite as much. And whether you like them raw or you like them cooked, they're really good for you either way. Carrots are consumed all around the world. I mean, like I say, they started out in Asia, the Middle East, worked their way into Europe, and they just spread out from there. And depending on where people live, depends on how they prepare them, what herbs and spices they use. And so I always like to try maybe new herbs and spices that I don't use on a daily basis to cook with my food, to change the flavor up a little bit, to have something that tastes a little bit new. But here in the United States, we eat raw carrots with dips. We slice them up thin to put maybe in salads. We grate them up to use them in things like that carrot raisin slaw, or we even grate them up to add them to things such as sauerkraut. My husband made 2 batches of sauerkraut this summer, and this is the cabbage from our garden that we grew. We had about 8 heads of it, and then we added some grated carrot from the garden. Let's see. You can also use carrots in soups and stews. We had smoked some chickens, and I had a little bit of smoked chicken left, I guess a couple cups of it left. And so I made some broth from the bones and added some potatoes, some carrots, some tomatoes, some green beans, some onion, and some herbs and spices, and we canned, I guess about 4 or 5 quart jars of vegetable soup. And it really is good. That smoky flavor from the chicken added a lot to the flavor of the soup too. But you can steam carrots, boil them, you can roast them. One of my favorite things is pot roast with potatoes and carrots. You can also use them in desserts, such as carrot cake, which is a favorite of a lot of people. You can use carrots in pie, carrot pie instead of pumpkin pie. You can use it in cookies. I know that there's some cookie recipes where you use the carrot puree in your cookie dough. I've never done that, but I've made carrot cookies where you grate up the carrot and add raisins and that sort of thing, and they're really, really good. You can also pickle carrots. A lot of people like that vegetable mix that's carrots and cauliflower, onion, some peppers, hot peppers, that sort of thing. And like I said, sauerkraut. For storing your carrots, if you grow quite a few carrots, you can can them, you can freeze them, you can dehydrate them. They will save for several months in your refrigerator. They will also stay good in the ground and fall for quite a while because the frost doesn't really hurt them, and as long as you don't get like freezing cold weather, you can just go out and pull a few as you need them until you run out, I guess, or until the weather gets really cold. Here in Oklahoma, it doesn't get really cold in winter most of the time. We get, a northern blow in every once in a while, and it might get cold for 2 or 3 days, but we don't really get severely cold weather very often here. If you're going to store, if you live up north, for instance, and you're going to store your carrots long term to get you through the whole winter until your garden the next summer, you can, get some big containers, put some sand or soil in the bottom, lay some of your unwashed carrots on top of that soil, cover them with another layer of dirt or sand, and just keep doing that to the top, and then make sure all your carrots are covered at the very top with sand or soil. Some people even use, I think, some kind of wood chips or something like that. But as long as wherever you're storing them is about 34 to 44 degrees through the winter months, they seem to do just fine. It's just not something I see me ever being able to do here. So if you have any questions about carrots, if you know of any dishes you would like me to prepare, I'm not preparing dishes yet. It's still a little warm outside and I'm trying to take advantage of the nice weather. But when school starts back and the weather cools off, I will definitely be in the kitchen preparing some different dishes. So my okra, I planted 3 varieties: the Clemson spineless, which we always plant, the red burgundy, and the jambalaya. Well, I really had high hopes for the jambalaya. I'd heard so many good things about it, and it might depend on where you live. It might depend on the kind of soil you have. But the jambalaya has not been as prolific as the Clemson spineless. And the red burgundy, it just really hasn't put on much okra. A little bit, but they're really thin, skinny pods, not really to hold like breading for fried okra well. Really can't use it for canning pickled okra because the color will drain out of it. So even though it's a beautiful plant, I don't think I would grow red burgundy okra again either. So I think next year we'll just go back to our Clemson spineless. We always save our seeds from year to year because it's a heirloom plant, so you can do that and you'll be just fine. So I just thought I'd let you know about that. Now, you may have different soil than I have. You might want to try the jambalaya and see how it does. But here at my house, I just haven't been impressed. Okay, so if you enjoyed my video today, please give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so. If you're viewing this on Facebook and you enjoy my video, please share it on your Facebook page with your friends. If you have any ideas for future videos, please let me know. Someone's already sent me an idea for next spring that I will definitely do. And please stay well. I know with school getting ready to start, it's kind of a nerve-wracking time. I'm a school teacher in a big school and have about, usually most school years I have 25 to 30 students per class for 5 classes a day. So I don't know what it's going to be like this year. None of us do. I just hope that the best for everybody, that you all stay well and take care of yourselves and your families. All right, well, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.